Krishna Yatya Aurugaya Vibhavayanti Tattatvapu Pranayase Sadanugrahaya Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Ritsaroja Aseshu Tekshita Pato Nanunata Pumsam Yati Yata Urugaya Vibhavayanti Tattvapu Pranayase Sata Nugrahaya And one more time. Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Ritsaroja Aseshu Tekshita Pato Nanunata Pumsam Yati Yata Urugaya Vibhavayanti Tattvapu Pranayase Sadanugrahaya I think in the interest of time we just request Krishna Chaitra Maharaj and the chant, and then we will immediately go to that text. From Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Ritsaroja Aseshu Tekshita Pato Nanunata Pumsam Yati Yata Urugaya Vibhavayanti Tattvapu Pranayase Sadanugrahaya Yes. Oh my Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become cleansed and you take your seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you. The statement here is, not Prabhupada says, what is the content of this verse, that the Lord manifests himself before the devotee in the form in which the devotee likes to worship him. This indicates that the Lord becomes subordinate to the desire of the devotee, so much so that he manifests his particular form as the devotee demands. This demand of the devotee is satisfied by the Lord because he is pliable in terms of the transcendental loving service of the devotee. Understand the word pliable means if iron is pliable, then any blacksmith can just form the piece of iron in the way he wants. He can make a sword out of it, a spoon, some items for the cooking, a plow, and so on. Because the iron is pliable, it can shape it. So Krishna also is pliable in the sense that in whatever way he is worshipped, he manifests. This is one of the reasons why it is offensive to laugh about the religions of others. It's offensive because it's the same Krishna who appears just in another form according to the worship of his worship. This also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Please say with me. Ye yatamam prapadyante tam sadaiva bhajamyaham. We should note, however, the Lord is never the order supplier of the devotee. Here in this verse it is particularly mentioned. Tvam bhakti yoga paribhavita. This indicates the efficiency achieved through execution of mature devotional service or prema, love of God. This state of prema is achieved by the gradual process of development from faith to love. On faith, one associates with bona fide devotees. Wait. Yes. Please, Mataji, sit down peacefully. Sit down peacefully. That was nice, no? It was so wonderful. Little insect. Perhaps he has listened to all the kirtans, to all the presentations, to all the whatever went on. You know, he really jumped on he really took a long way. He really surrendered himself. My God, perhaps this is a good indication for us. Our unwilling, tired hearts could perhaps consider surrender, perhaps. So Prabhupada now will talk about the gradual process of devotional service. Where does it all start? Shraddha. We heard it was very nice. You can't force Shraddha, but if you associate with devotees and see their way of life, their way of perspective, and so on, you will become convinced in some way. So let me try also. So Prabhupada describes this. I can see, because only Krishna Chaitanya Maharaj will have the answer. You had not listened because it was just explained a moment before. This culture of chronic inattention is not good for your Shraddha. On faith, one associates with bona fide devotees, and by such association, one can get some pizza. Sorry. Now I was inattentive. So let us see. So, on faith one associates with bona fide devotees, and by such association one can talk about the new mobile telephone app. You caught on it, I can't trick you any longer, so I will now say something very outrageous. It is very scandalous, but I will say now, listen. On faith one associates with bona fide devotees, and by such association one can become engaged in bona fide devotional service, which includes proper initiation and the execution of the primary devotional duties prescribed in the revealed scriptures. So, yes, by this association you can actually pick up the seed of bhakti, the seed of devotional service, and even qualify for a proper initiation, and then you are on your way. This is clearly indicated herein by the word Shutekshita. The Shutekshita path is to hear of bona fide devotees who are conversant with Vedic wisdom, free from mundane sentiment. By this bona fide hearing process, the neophyte devotee becomes cleansed of all material rubbish. Strong word, it's garbage in the heart. No? By this bona fide hearing process, the neophyte devotee becomes cleansed of all material rubbish, and thus he becomes attached to one of the many transcendental forms of the Lord, as described in the Vedas. One moment. Hare Krishna. The subject of this verse is, I think, very, very good as a goodbye message or as a takeaway from this retreat. So let us just offer our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashakya Deshakarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Hare Krishna, my devotees, this verse describes in a nutshell the realization of many, many devotees in our movement. It is that the real nourishment in spiritual life takes place by hearing from the Shastras, from the lips of devotees. There is a little movement within our movement. It is not spoken about, it is, but it is by devotees who say, okay, we can make advancement by just hearing and listening to the scriptures and to Srila Prabhupada. These devotees, they don't make a philosophy out of it, but they want to hear when there is this in the scripture, and they know that here is somehow the transcendental the connection for us conditioned souls to the eternal spiritual reality. So hearing is something we can, by Krishna's mercy, do also when we go home from here. There is the translation of Srila Prabhupada's books is available in the local languages here. We owe this to the debt of gratitude to the BBT and the various devotees who over the time have served in the BBT. There is a good connection. Srila Prabhupada once wrote a letter to the book distributors where he said, these books are not just for distributing. And then he said something very important. He said, my only criticism of my devotees is that you don't read enough. I mean, when Prabhupada was in the mood of teaching us, he would say quite some things to his disciples. He would say, you're only good for sex and quarreling. He would get on our case as a teacher should. But then he would go back and say, oh, my disciples are pure devotees. he loved us. But something he said, and he said it consistently, and he didn't say it in an extreme way, like the extreme, I don't want to say something extreme, in a chastising way. He said it just as an observance. He said, my only criticism of my disciples is they don't read enough because they are not sufficiently afraid of Maya. He said like this. And then he said, I used to have this in my, always with me. I looked at it every day. He said, if you don't read enough, soon there will be no more Haribol, Haribol. I was so impressed by the statement, my devotees, that I glued it, copy-paste, into my address book, where all the addresses of the people I was trying to cultivate was. It was a big book, and he would say, you don't read enough. Then soon there will be no Haribol. Now let us ask the question, why is reading or hearing so important? Why? Is this just for people like Krishna Ksetra Maharaj, who is a professor and an intellectual? Or is it for someone who is ill and has no time for anything else and lies in bed all day and needs to kill time, so he reads? Why is reading so important? Could you give me, please, any ideas? Why could it be important? I would love if you speak from your realization. Yes, I saw one devotee. Yes.
So we can remember Krishna.
So that you can remember Krishna. So you say, if you don't hear about Krishna, you will just remember other things. Wonderful. I saw Premamurti.
So that we can be aware of what actually we are doing in our spiritual life. We can tune our intelligence.
We can tune our intelligence, yeah. And we can be aware. I see our fairy queen, Radha, yes.
To develop attachment, because when you focus your mind on something, then you develop some sort of attachment.
Yeah, wonderful. By hearing or reading about Krishna, we focus our mind on him, and at that time we develop attachment for him. Wonderful. You have experienced all this, no? You talk from experience. I think we all have experienced this. Yes, I see some other Andra.
It cleanses our mind of material thoughts.
It cleanses our mind of material thoughts. Mm-hmm. You have experienced that? Good. Good, yeah. Yes, Govindananda, and then we close the...
to understand what is important now.
We understand what is important, and then we can engage in the more important things in our life. I was very, very surprised when I found Prabhupada had said he writes this books so that we can think of God. That is in the introduction to the Bhagavatam. It helps us to direct our thoughts to Krishna. Why is this important? You have given excellent reasons. There is one verse in the Gopal Tapani Upanishad which talks why it is important to think of Krishna. It says, Yang mam smitva gada gada, Yang mam smitva patu, Buddha bhavati. Oh no, I try. Yang mang smitva gada gada bhavati, Yang mang smitva puta puta bhavati, Yang mang smitva prati prati bhavati, Yang mang smitva sakamo nishkamo bhavati, Yang mang smitva shrutriyo shrutriyo bhavati. Do you hear a repetition of the Sanskrit word here? Smit Bhagada, Smit as remembrance, and then Bhavati. No, but you become something. Bhavati means to become. So let us see what this says here. By remembering me, a shallow person becomes deep. Shallow means superficial. By remembering me, a shallow person becomes deep. By remembering me, an impure person becomes pure. Wow. By remembering me, an impious person becomes pious. Now I feel the best comes. By remembering me, one full of material desires becomes desireless. In another translation of this verse here, of this part of the verse, it says, one who has no desire to serve me develops the desire to serve me. I find this very applicable to my case. I'm sometimes so exhausted due to an impossible schedule. And then when I get up, I don't chant. I read a good verse and some good purpose from Srila Prabhupada. And as I read, I get energized and want to serve and want to chant my rounds. Amazing. This is my experience. By remembering me, a fool becomes learned. That has not yet happened. That's right. So here the Gopal Tapani Upanishad, those who take notes, it's in the Uttarakhanda 4:7, says that you become deep, you become pure. By remembering of Krishna, you become pious, you become free from material desires or develop desires to serve Krishna. And you actually become learned also. So these are reasons why we should hear, because we will remember Krishna, and then we will blossom in our spiritual life. The word blossom is very nice. A flower that is not blossomed is in its potential form only. Only when it is nourished, the bud will open up and it will become a colorful flower which nice fragrance that can be offered to Krishna or to a person you like, or like this. No? Blossoming in spiritual life, developing in spiritual life is just like the development of a flower, and it is our potential, it is our birthright. And this does come about when we hear about Krishna and then remember what we heard. Already in our movement we are excellent in hearing. There are so many lectures which devotees hear or they read, but where we fail in an embarrassing way is in remembering. It's called smarana in our philosophy. It's the third thing which needs to be developed. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. No, very, very important thing. Actually, at the moment, our mind is wired for material life. That's why we feel so enthusiastic about material news. Did you hear yesterday's demonstration in Belgrade? Did you hear about the sonic weapons? Already we hear such vibrations. Oh yeah, look, let me hear. Let me hear. No, we won't discuss this here. It's a Bhagavatam class. We are habituated. It's easy for us to have material thoughts because it goes on since time immemorial. But we do actually need to train to have spiritual thoughts. And how to train this is, in my mind, I want to give you two quotations on how to do. One is by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and the other is very practical by Srila Prabhupada. Are you interested to train your mind to remember Krishna? Yes. I'm very interested because I would love to blossom in my spiritual life, and I would like to come to the stage where I actually become free from what Prabhupada calls rubbish, material thoughts, and think of Krishna. So this is an interesting program. I find it a challenge for my life, where I'm again rejoining the Hare Krishna movement. I only discovered this some time ago, and I'm absolutely enthusiastic. So, when the Bhagavad Gita discusses Abhyasa Rupa Bhakti, what is that? Abhyasa means practice. Your bhakti, your devotional life, takes on the form of abhyasa, a practice. Then this means to withdraw the mind repeatedly from the sense objects and fix it on me, Krishna. This is the practice. When you see that your mind goes somewhere, in the material things, material, you see announcements, perhaps posters for new films, you see invitations for new restaurants, or so on, and your mind engages with the subject, then you repeatedly say, no, I would love to withdraw my mind from this and fix it on Krishna. That is the practice of Krishna consciousness. Abhyasa Rupa Bhakti. It's for someone who has not reached the perfection. Now, how to do this is explained in the 12th chapter, text 9, by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. How do you bring really the mind away from material. We like in ISKCON very heavy language, so let us use it, rubbish, and bring it to Krishna. Why? How do you do this? Our Vishwanath Chakrabarti says, in common words, Krishna means to say, stop the movement of mind, which like a river that cannot be controlled, gravitates to vulgar sense and objects such as taste, and establish the mind's movement, such as taste. So, you see your mind drifting away to gross forms of sexuality. Does this happen? No, we are beyond all this. Of course it happens. Not in Serbia, sorry. Yes. So let us use another example. I don't feel comfortable, but I can feel from your mental energy you are not yet with the subject matter. You are not willing to engage in this thought. So maybe what techniques do I know to capture your attention? I'm so enthusiastic about what I want to say that I don't think I techniques at the moment. So that what it means when you see your mind goes into, for instance, criticizing others. Let's not stay with this disturbing example. You go, like yesterday I saw my mind going, wow, is this the level of culture which we have in Krishna consciousness? I saw different aspects, and I can be very critical. I'm not a nice devotee. And I could see, Sacinandana Swami, be careful. Your mind is drifting towards offensive thoughts now. They are here described as vulgar. You can't do this. You are in a devotional community. Come on. This is not right. So stop it. Or I have no punishment for my mind. Or I will ignore you for 1 week. It doesn't work, by the way. So stop the mind when you say it goes to... and then establish the mind's movement in my beautiful form, qualities, pastimes, and rasa. So yesterday I did it. I saw my mind was going again into a troublesome path. I was also very exhausted and tired, and then the mind is very unwilling. And I thought, well, now I should think of what the beautiful form of Krishna. Ooh, that's a call to action. Okay, how do I do this? Well, I remember I gave a class, and I said, I think about the lotus feet of Krishna, and I was doing it, and I thought, come on, Sacinandana Swami, are you doing this? Then I said, of course. Then I went up to the navel of the Lord. Wow. Then I went up to the flower garden with lotuses. Wow. And then I went up to the cooling glances of the Lord. This is, after all, how Queen Kunti trains us. I have another meditation which I do. It's a brief thing. And after I had done it, I thought, but I love these devotees. My God, this is culture. Netflix doesn't have such presentations, It's absolutely unique in the world. Celebrate the devotees, how sincere they are, how they glorify Krishna through this still picture meditations and other meditations. There's a lot of killing going on the stage, but this is perhaps necessary to show it like this. So I was really trying to see things positively, because my mind had been cleansed from the rubbish of criticizing. I'm giving you a very practical example, and by the way, it is not taken out of the imagination. I did it yesterday. It was my experience. It was the most wonderful concluding evening for me. So, then Vishwanath ends, O Dhananjaya, conqueror of wealth, having conquered many enemies, you have taken much wealth. Now, he says, Arjuna, you once went into the Himalayan mountains and you came back with ox carts full of golden plate. From that moment your name became Dhananjaya, the one who conquered wealth. So Arjuna, says Krishna, you have gotten so many treasures, so much money, so much wealth. Today he will perhaps say, you have already a Lamborghini, you have a Rolex, you have collected so much, but there's something which you have overlooked. You have taken much wealth. Now, conquer the mind, and then you can take the treasure of smarana, of meditation. That is the real treasure which you can capture in this life. So here is a very simple process. When you catch your mind going into the material thoughts, processes, and it can have, I can imagine if it happens to someone who tries to practice since 50 years plus, then I think it can happen to you also, because we are not so different. We have a mind and we have the same issues and challenges in front of us. When you see your mind going the wrong way, stop it and bring it the right way. And this happens very quickly, like Anuradha had said to us. She said, when we hear about Krishna, we pay attention to Krishna, and at that time we become attached to Krishna. No? And she spoke from experience. She didn't make it up. So this is very important practice. It's a new, it's really a very good. So in our transcendental philosophy, there are meditations, or where we fix our mind, which are given at certain times. There is one meditation which is to be done when you chant the Maha Mantra, so that these are not just empty mantras, where you fire just some sound vibration, but they are, it's not, what is it called? Empty shots, it really has substance to it. And there are meditations, so if we would have time, I would do this meditation with you, but we want to hear from Ksetra Maharaj, but I just want to read it to you. It's very known to those who are, I've heard it many times since I've heard 2 translations. Would you like to hear the meditation?
Yes.
So when you chant, while you chant, you do not think of nothing. Or you do not think of the day and what you have to chop. And so on, or you don't think about the protests in Belgrade yesterday, starting at 8 o'clock. You just don't engage with this, but you can't, especially when chanting, you bring your mind to Krishna, and you will see how the mantra and the sound vibration will somehow become one. You are, so to say, in the chanting space. Or let us say it in simple English, you feel you are with Krishna while you chant. No? So this is one of the meditations. You think about Krishna is sporting in the cooling waters of the Yamuna. Isn't that beautiful? You have seen photos, Krishna's there and throws water on the gopis, and you go, oh Krishna, my God, so cool, so refreshing, and so on. Or you think of Krishna, he is standing in the shade of a Kadamba tree in the beautiful Vrindavan forest. Both are images that bring about coolness in the mind, cool down. Then he's surrounded by the cows and gopas and is accompanied by, can you imagine who's next to him? Balaram, so it is. Radharani. No. He is very skillfully playing the flute as he stands there in a charming Tribhanga pose, and he looks at the devotees with mercy and kindness in their eyes. I admit to you that most probably this is a meditation where you feel, Maharaji, I'm not really up to this, I'm not qualified, and I'm so on. So, yes, let us take this as a valid answer. But what will you do to become qualified? Will you continue to not stop your mind from going to the material energy or for being dull and inactive? Is that your process? And do you hope that automatically, somehow, mysteriously, you will turn into a blissful person? Bhujan Prabhu addressed this when he said our automatic process, and he said, yes, the process works automatically if you do the process. But if you don't do the process, it cannot work. It does not work, and we have many devotees who have not been successful in continuing the practice over a long time. So yes, the process is you chant the holy name, you think of Krishna. The easiest way is, and this is what I do most of the time also, because I'm also not a good meditator. I just make sure that when I chant before the deities, and I look at on the deities, or a picture of Krishna. That's how one can easily start this process. Then you can close the eyes for a moment and see Krishna's form in the image of the heart, in the mirror of the heart. There are so many things we see in the mirror of the heart. Why not Krishna's form? And from there, you will feel interest, or you will feel, is there more to learn? And you will go, and you will come to the level where you actually remember Krishna and not forget him. And then you are happy, even when the world around you changes, and all the devotees, we will soon all go, and those who love their spiritual masters, they will cry. We enter the decade of tears, because now these devotees are 75 and plus 10, then they're 85, and not everyone lives up until then. So many things forever, but if you can remember Krishna, that will be very good. Hare Krishna. Is this alright, my dear devotees? I always, I will now go back. I always feel that there is so much wonderful nectar in Krishna consciousness, and I sometimes stumble over it because I have to give lectures, and I can't always say the same thing because what is that? You need to progress as a lecturer in your subjects and so on, so that people will not say, oh, I know that already, and not listen to you. So it's in self-interest. You read and then, wow, I didn't know. Wow, oh, this is Krishna consciousness. My God, Prabhupada said this also. Why couldn't I understand it? Why, is something wrong with me? Maybe I left school too early or something. And then I feel, this is so good. My other devotees should know it. And then I become so urgent and go like, and get on your nerves and so on. So please forgive me. It's just enthusiasm with the desire to just share. This is so wonderful, this Krishna consciousness. So now we will hear from the real person. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Gauri Nitai ki jai, Gaur Premanandi ki jai. Actually, I think because of the time factor, one of the children asked yesterday. I was given so many questions from the children, and one of the questions was, "What is time?" To which I would just say right now, it's the, you could say, using a fancy word, the phenomenology of time. This phenomenology means the experience of, what is the experience of time? The experience of time is, for me, right now, that it's passing. Time is passing. And we're close to 9 o'clock. And I personally would rather than hear myself talk something which we will all forget, I would rather that we invite you to say something, to express something, to, if you want, ask a question. But let's hear from you something. I'm leaving this very open, but I think we've all been prompted nicely by a challenge by Sacinandana Maharaj to learn. How many times Prabhupada used the word train? To train. Thank you. And that we need training for what? For remembering Krishna. And he's inviting us to do this. And the word abhyasa rupa bhakti. So abhyasa means practice. When I was 5 years old, it was the beginning of my piano lessons. My mother was a piano teacher, and so the lessons began every day. Now is it time for your piano practice? Okay. So it was practice, and practice had it had a purpose, it had a direction, and the direction was to perfect the practice, to become skilled in the practice of moving the fingers on the. Actually, I had let's say, mildly traumatic experience when I was around 3 years old. My mother was, I would say, a rather talented piano player, also organ player. We had both in our house, a very good quality piano and a very good quality Hammond organ. And she would play, and myself at 3 years would watch her, and then I distinctly remember getting up on the seat at the piano, and because she would spread her fingers like this and she would play. So I thought, well, I can do that too. So I pressed my fingers down on the keys. What came out was some horrible sound, to my surprise and great disappointment. So we may have a similar experience in the practice of bhakti in the beginning. Oh, if I just do like this, then this nice sound will come out. And then we maybe make that effort, but it doesn't come out as we expect. And then we understand we need to practice. And one of the earliest mottos I heard from my mother was, practice makes perfect. Kako se kaže na srpski.
Praksom do savršenstva.
Say it now once, very slowly for me.
Praksom do
Praksom
do savršenstva.
do završenstva. Savršenstva. Okay. I won't remember that. We're speaking about that. Practice makes perfect, and what is the perfect? What is the perfection? We're reading that, we're hearing that, and that's one of the reasons we are reading and hearing is because we get a picture, we get pictures of what is that perfection. In the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, we get a very nice analogy that can inspire us toward that perfection. Bhakti pareshanu bhavo viraktiranyatra chaisha trika eka kala prapadyamana sekatashnatasyus tushti pushti kshut abhayo anugasam. The analogy is with eating. Have you experienced when you are hungry, what happens if you eat? Huh? It diminishes the hunger. What else? You feel satisfied. Yes. And what else? You are nourished. Tushti, you are satisfied. Pushti, you are nourished. And kshut apaya, the kshut, the hunger, apaya is removed. Now, if you're not hungry, then this doesn't apply. But I think we all experience hunger, and now is the time for breakfast, and therefore also I don't want to go on speaking, and we start to hear the growling stomachs and so on. But this verse is saying, bhakti Paresha Anubhava Virakti. There's three things. There's bhakti, devotion. Para Isha Anubhava. Experience. Anubhava means experience. Of the Supreme Lord, Para Isha. And Anurakta. Bhakti Paresha Anubhava Virakta. Virakta is detachment. Now this detachment thing, that's something we don't like so much to hear about. Detachment. That's the tough one. But it's this combination which is the Bhagavatam telling us. Bhakti Paresha Pareshanubhavo Viraktir Anyatra Chaisha Trika Eka Kala. Simultaneous Trika Eka Kala, speaking of time and the movement of time. So simultaneously. Prapad Yamanasya, for the one who surrenders. Prapad literally means falling down. Prapad Yamanasya, of the one who falls, who bow down, mister, who surrenders. Yatashnatas use tushti, pushti, shut apaya, anugasam. Anugasam with every bite. So with every bite of reading Shastra, every verse, every purport, every chapter, every time we sit and read or stand and read. I remember back in the day, out on the street, distributing books in the cold in Germany, North Germany. Wishing that I could be in Schloss Reddershof, where Sacinandana Swami was peacefully and happily translating Srila Prabhupada's books in the warm, with warm heating. And I was out on the street, and people are going, excuse me, sir. Entschuldigung. Haua, they would say. Geh arbeiten. They would say. Oh, you know, like this. But then I would take out a Bhagavad Gita and I would read one verse. And I would think, this is brilliant. This is so nice. This is something these people should also know. Let them also hear this. Let them also read it. It was immediate inspiration. Yes, what? I can't just keep this for myself. Let others also hear it. So that, so with every bite, with every morsel, you know the word morsel? Mrvica. It means a little mirva. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, mrvica. So this, I think, suffices for me. It's enough for me to say this, to underline what Maharaj is saying. And I do want to kind of call this to an end because I have a rather long travel to make and then a program this evening. And maybe there's one burning question. Burning question. It's
it's not a question, but you were also asking for sharing. So I really wanted to express my gratitude, and I think gratitude from all of these devotees for your beautiful examples of dedication and Krishna consciousness and taking so much of your time and heart and energy to come here and share all of this wisdom that you have shared through these days. And it's, both of you are really torchlights in our lives. So I'm so happy that you dedicated the time and shared all this knowledge and wisdom and constantly pushing us over the years, guiding, seeing like little children who are trying to walk and falling and still being merciful, still. And that's a beautiful example of a little child trying to play a piano. Still continuing.
My experience, because we're speaking about experience. So
And more than everything, I know how much you would like to dedicate yourself for yourself to Krishna, but still you go out. Still you take your time to dedicate to us, even though you don't need to do that. But it's so. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you so much.
any final words? I think.